Hi there, it's Tara, and welcome back to Crafting with Curly Cues. Today I have a really fun project to share with you guys that I'm super excited about. I have the honor today of pairing with Ma'at Silk coloring pages. Her name is Maisie, the gal who runs this shop on Etsy, and she has the most amazing coloring sets. So the one I'm using today is called Sunday Clothes, and this one comes with not only the images I'm going to use, but there's several images. So it comes with this cover sheet that you can print out. It's really cool because she even puts like some coloring tips and such in there. She's a fabulous colorist, so everything that she suggests is super useful and handy. And then you get these three different coloring sheets that are like coloring book pages. So this one is the hats. It's got a really fun quote up in the corner, and then it's got like a place to test your colors out, which I think is super cool. And you can actually print it in a bunch of different shades, like black, brown, and if you want to do no line coloring, there's like a light color. I did all mine in black, but you have all that option comes with the set, so it's really cool. So then you get the ribbons one and the fans one. So this is all in the same set. So lots of coloring fun, like hours on end. She puts a hashtag there so that you can hashtag the stuff that you're creating and take a peek at what everyone else is doing. And then in addition to those coloring pages, you get these extras. So you get these really cool hats and then these really sweet little girls like showing off the different Sunday clothes, which I think is super fun. So for my project today, I'm going to be using one of these extra hats that comes with the coloring set. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and color this image using my Copic markers. So this is a pretty decent sized image here. So it took me a good little chunk of time to color. So I sped this up super fast, as you can see. I've got the caps of my markers off to the side there so you can see what colors I'm using if you're interested. So this hat instantly reminded me of Alice in Wonderland. So it totally said Mad Hatter to me. So I wanted to do kind of not necessarily an Alice in Wonderland theme, but I just really, for some reason, Alice in Wonderland and the Mad Hatter to me, just purple is the first thing that pops to mind. And so I wanted to try coloring this hat in some really awesome like royal purple shades. So purple is unfortunately one of the Copic families that I am lacking in. I don't have tons of the violets. So I had to kind of do a lot of this tip to tip technique here where I'm taking my medium shade and I'm touching the tip of the medium shade to the tip of the darkest shade and then going back over the spots where they blend. And that's just creating a tone in between those two colors essentially and allowing me to blend these two colors that are actually pretty far apart into a more smooth, seamless blend. So it took me a little while to get this big space on this hat to blend the way that I wanted it to, but I think that it turned out really super fun, and I love the color purple, the shade that it ended up, because I've got some of those like kind of more reddish purples in there, and then the more like my lightest is a BV, which is a blue violet. So I don't know, I just thought that it turned out really fun, and I had a lot of fun with this project. This hat is so stinking cute, and I can't wait to use the other ones on something else and to color in the big hats coloring page. I think it's going to be super fun to color. I love to sit like in front of the TV. Obviously coloring is huge right now, and I think that's great because I've always loved to color anyway. So hey, if I can do what I love to do and actually be trendy at the same time, then more power to me, right? So these coloring sheets are going to be super fun to color in, and I can't wait to get my markers on the rest of them. I did print all of this out, just so you know, on some Nina 110-pound Solar White cardstock. So that is what I'm coloring with today. My printer is a toner printer, so that is, I just like to give you guys the information when you're printing the digital images, because I don't know with different inks and such on printers what will work with what markers and what won't. So I have a toner printer. I printed this out on my Nina. It was no problem at all, and my Copics are working just great with it. So I am coloring the little bow in some shades of cool gray. I'm going for kind of a black. So again, I'm sticking with kind of that, I don't know, Beetlejuicy, Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton. I don't know. That's what was in my head the whole time I was coloring this. I just thought it was really fun. And then I added some pops of color with the flowers and such to almost make it seem like springtimey. I don't know. It's just a good contrast, I think. And contrary to what a lot of people like. I love purple and yellow together. I know they're like something about opposite on the color wheel or something, but frankly, I'm not a good enough artist to know what that means and if I should use them together or not. So I use purple and yellow all the time. I just love the contrast of the deep purple and the bright yellow. So that is what I chose to go with for these flowers, is just keep it simple. I thought about coloring them all different colors and making it kind of wacky in that Alice in Wonderland Mad Tea Party kind of way, but I decided to stick with just the one color and let the beautiful drawing really be the star of this show here. So the last thing I have to do is color my leaves, and I decided to go with some more brighter greens. Again, I'm kind of contrasting the dark shades of the hat with these really fun bright flowers, and I think that just really made it pop off the page even more. So super, super fun. I know that spring is starting now. My daughter is so excited that it's spring break, and she keeps going, like pointing at the calendar and being like, did you know that today's the first day of spring? Like, she's just so excited. She's a warm weather person. I'm a cold weather person. So she's excited that it's getting hot, and I'm like, ugh, it's going to get hot again. So that's what's happening in my house. So once I have this gorgeous hat colored, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out using my Fiskars scissors here. And I'm just going to cut that right up next to the line. It's a super easy image to cut out, so it didn't take me too long. And then I'm going to go ahead and line the edges of that cutout with my black soot distress marker. And this is just going to make it look like it was cut out perfectly and like I didn't miss anything while I was fussy cutting up to the line. Sometimes I'll even kind of go over the front a little bit in some areas if I didn't get quite close enough to the line. I don't want any bright white spots showing. And then I decided to color that spot that should be super dark shadow with that black. So that's what I did there. So these are the dies that I'm going to use. This is the Mama Elephant Basic Set. So it comes with those two frames as well as all those little pieces to accent your cards. So you can see how those two frames line up. I'm using this October 31st paper pad from Doodlebug. Kind of fun to bust out some Halloween stuff while I was doing this. So I wanted to kind of show you guys a little glimpse of how I store my dies. I use a binder, and then I've got a bunch of magnetic sheets, and I have them kind of by category in there. So people have been reminding me that I promised months ago to do some organization videos, so I'll show some of those soon, but I wanted to give you a little glimpse there of how I do my dies. So I'm going to use one of these little mini doilies from Doodlebug, and then I have this stamp set from the Greeting Farm. It's called Hatters. It's a gorgeous giant stamp set, and of course I thought this was perfect for this hat. So I'm going to use that hats off to you sentiment, because how great. I was going to try to do one of the more Alice in Wonderland-y ones, but I just thought this one was so perfect that I couldn't resist. So to create a piece of paper that's going to match my card exactly, I'm taking that same darkest violet Copic marker that I used and scribbling a bunch of it on some Nina Solar white cardstock. So this is like the only time I've ever used the other end of my Copic markers. So it works really well. This is going to create just, rather than having to pair cardstock with the colors I'm already using, it just creates a nice, perfect purple for me to use on my card. I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss my sentiment with some Ranger's Superfine White Detail embossing powder and put that pop of white to kind of go with that doily. So again, I'm using all these fun like purple and black like Halloween tones and then popping in white and bright yellow and really just kind of throwing the balance off a little bit there. So I thought it just was a super fun look. So now that I've got that all heat embossed, I'm going to put my powder right back into my container there. Coffee filters are magical for this. Put away my Versamark ink, and then I will go ahead and heat set that sentiment off camera and get that embossing nice and hot and ready to roll. And then I'm going to take my paper trimmer and I'm going to cut this out. So I'm using the little wire guide on my paper trimmer to get nice and close here to everything that I'm doing. And I am going to create little sentiment squares. So I want to cut each word apart. So this was the hardest part here, was to try to line up the middle, and I should have done it before I cut the rest of the paper off so that I had something to hold on to. But it ended up working out fine. So I'm just using that wire guide to let me cut in between each word and create individual little squares for each word of this sentiment. And that's just going to give me some more flexibility on my card with where I can put this. And I also just think it gives a really fun kind of mixed media-ish look. This is one of my favorite ways to do sentiments. So it'll take an old sentiment and really kind of refresh it. So I thought it was super fun. I'm going to line the edges with that same Copic marker so that you don't get any of that white and everything looks nice and perfect. So you can see now how that just looks like cardstock, like that Copic marker just blended right out, and it matches my hat perfectly. So that's a really fun way if you just need a small amount of colored cardstock to create something that's going to match your project perfectly. It's just to use your Copic markers. So now you've got the basic layout of my card. So that is the gist of what we're doing here. So now I'm going to start assembling everything. I'm going to use my ATG gun to go ahead and adhere the larger piece of this frame onto a black A2 card base. This is made with some Simon Says Stamp black cardstock, and it's side folding. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the front panel from that die set. That die set is fabulous. I love the spider webs on the back. It's a Halloween paper bag, but you can see that you don't have to use Halloween stuff for Halloween. It can be used any time of the year. But anyway, I love that die set because honestly, layout is the worst part of making a card for me. It's the part that I'm the worst at. And this die set kind of takes the mystery out of it. So super fun. So that little doily, I probably should have used a different kind of adhesive because I did kind of rip it, but I knew that I was going to be putting that hat on top, so I wasn't super stressed about it. But just so you know, I would recommend maybe some liquid adhesive on the back of that doily, and I only put adhesive right in the middle. I kind of want the edges to be able to flip up a little bit and be not so stuck down, just to allow some texture and dimension. So I am putting some foam tape on the back of my hat, so I'm going to pop it up off the card just a little bit. And that foam tape allows me to give it some dimension without too much. And then I'm just going to center it kind of over that doily and a little bit off to the side and pop it right on there. I think that is so pretty. I just love that hat. Like, good job, Maisie. It's gorgeous. And now I'm going to go ahead and put some foam tape on the back of my little sentiment squares as well, so that they are also popped up to sit with the hat. So I'm just taking that roll of foam tape I have and cutting it down to whatever size that I need. It's nice and versatile that way. I ended up with this foam tape. I buy my foam tape just like when I go to the grocery store. And so I sometimes end up with all different like widths of it. Like sometimes they have the 1/2 inch, and sometimes like right now it's like this really thick like 1 inch one that I've never had before. But either way it works. I can cut it down to whatever I need. It's just kind of funny to me that it's different every time I go. So I didn't like where I had put that off, so I kind of just peeled it up and repositioned it really quick, and I liked that much better. It wasn't quite as close to the hat. So now that that is all done, it's time to add the accents. So I went ahead with my white gel pen and I put some dash lines all the way around to pull that white back out so that the outside kind of coordinated with that doily. And then I really wanted to play with my stickles here. So I have this lavender stickles that I thought would be beautiful on this hat. And what I'm doing is I'm almost creating like a glitter ombre. So I'm putting the glitter down towards the brim of the hat, and then I'm using my finger to just kind of brush it up into the hat until there's no more glitter. So you end up with like lots of glitter down by the brim, and then this kind of like ombre effect where the glitter just kind of fades out as it goes up into the hat. So I figured it would be way too overpowering to glitter this whole image, because as you can see now that it's on the front of a card, you can see the size, that this is a good size image here. So but I wanted that sparkle on there. So I decided to give this a try, and I'm pretty pleased with the way that it turned out. I think it added something really fun to the card. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the glitter on the brim also. In some of those smaller areas, I just kind of use the tip of that stickles to kind of spread the glitter out. But in this larger area, I'll just come in with my fingers and go ahead and move that around a little bit. So now I have these Halloween assortment Doodlebug sprinkles. So I'm really digging into the Halloween supplies here for this card, which I think is super fun because, again, it's nice to see your supplies be versatile and not have to be used specifically at one time of year. So I'm using those yellow ones, which I thought went really great with those flowers, and then pulled out some of that color as well. And that is the card today, you guys. You can see how that ombre glitter looks there and get a nice close-up of that coloring. And here is just one more shot of it. So if you like these coloring sheets, which you totally should because they're phenomenal, check out the description box below. I'm going to link to not only Maisie's Etsy store, but also her YouTube channel. She's got some really great videos with some really great coloring techniques and such. So definitely check her out. Thank you so much, Maisie, for letting me showcase your beautiful, beautiful drawings. And I can't wait to color the rest of them. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this. If you did, please go ahead and hit subscribe. You can join me on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Thanks, guys. Bye.